This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruchim Abayim. Today's shir is a credit to the Rebbitzin because my son went off to sleepaway and the bus was not there at 8:45, so I was relieved of my duties at 8:50 in order to be able to be at the shir. Okay, so Siman Lamed Tes Sif Gimel. Siman Lamed Tes Sif Gimel. Ger shechazar ladasei machmas yira kasha lichtav tefillin. A convert that returned to his previous religion out of fear is a kasha to write tefillin. What does it mean out of fear? It says in Mishna Berura, yira shelo yaharguhu, so they don't kill him. Meaning a ger that returned to his former religion because they said if you remain a loyal Jew, we're going to kill you. So then he's kosher right to him. The truth is he did the wrong thing. It's very nice he converted, but now he has to give up his life. That's why you got to think twice before you convert to Judaism, because if they threaten your life, you're going to have to give it up. Before that, you could go to baseball games, you could eat non-kosher hot dogs, and shalom alakum. But now you have to give it up. But he does not abdicate his role as a loyal Jew, because it was coerced. Magen Avram says, don't be lenient about this. If it sounds like if he didn't give up his life for the Jewish people, even if he secretly observes the Torah, but he's lazy regarding Tefillin because he's afraid for his life, the halay al kapanim eina b'kshira, because at the end of the day he's not included in tying Tefillin. V'kol shekein imhu mumar l'chal Torah kula. Certainly, if he's a mumar for the rest of the Torah, meaning the Mechaber says that if a ger goes back to his bad ways, out of fear that they're going to kill him, he's kosher to wear tefillin. He should have given up his life. He should have, but we can understand why he didn't. But the Magen Avram says that if privately he's keeping the Torah and the only thing he's not keeping is wearing tefillin, then the fact that he didn't give up his life, that it sounds like we'll overlook. But the fact that he's lazy legabe tefillin, that already categorically removes him from the category of being bichlal shira. In other words, the fact that he violates the Torah publicly, that does not remove him from being bichlal shira. But the fact that he doesn't wear tefillin privately, that removes him from the category of kashira. Certainly if it's a mumar for the whole Torah, unless out of fear that they don't kill him, he's afraid to keep the Torah even privately. The Bir Hagra agrees to this Magen Avram, that basically this person who's afraid for his life better be putting on tefillin privately. Oid kasav ha-Magen Avram b'shem hadarkei Moshe de'afte b'sefer Torah mamzer v'ger toishav. For a sefer Torah, a mamzer and a ger toishav hanish kibul of shemetz neich psuam lichtayv k'moisha kasav b'yaradeas and reish payav. Isn't that amazing? That a sefer Torah, a mamzer and a ger toishav farstetzach, he can't write a sefer Torah. It's very nice he's mekabel shemetz neich, he's not Jewish, but a mamzer can't write a sefer Torah. That's interesting. So even though a mamzer Talmud Chacham is greater than a Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz, but the Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz could write a Sefer Torah and the mamzer Talmud Chacham can't. Afil hachi b'tunim mezuzos ein lachish. You don't have to worry about tefillin and mezuzos. Could a mamzer be a shliach tzibur? Say, why not? In Siman Nun Gimel, Sivkata Nun Gimel, the Mishna Berura brings, and it's quoted by the Dirshu, he brings from the Shiur Knesset Agdola, it depends whether a mamzer could write tefillin. And according to the Magen Avram, that he could write Tefillin, he could be a Sheikh Tzibur. But according to this opinion that he can't write, according to the opinion that he, the Chida says that even though he could write Tefillin, a mamzer should not be a Sheikh Tzibur. So the Magen Avram says Sefer Torah mamzer ger toshav can't write, but two mezuzos they could write. Now I don't know how in the world could a ger toshav write tefillin and mezuzos. V'chol achronim eskim the ger toshav pasal ksiva stam da'ina b'kshira v'ayin beber halacha.
The nafkamina also v'amal Sefer Torah. Whenever he writes a letter at the end, you have to ask the guy. You're not a mamzer, right?
That's what I don't understand. They ask you if you went to the mikvah. I mean, pal, there are more important questions you need to be asking the people, you know? Okay. I don't understand how there could be a daya that a ger toshav could write tefillin and mezuzos. If you look in the Bir Halacha, ger shechazal nachas yira kasher lichtov tefillin, he brings that kol za'ari beger tzedek ul inyan ger toshav eskim primagam lech mishma machas the pasuk mitam de'ina b'kshira. I mean, that's what you would assume. They're a guy. A ger toshav is not a Jew. But then he brings v'hayad Ephraim himtzi davar chadash the arya dakamash the master beger toshav kibul of kol mitzvahs chutz me isra nevela v'im kein hala yeshna b'kshira. The Rabbi Ephraim Zalman has a chiddush that a ger toshav potentially could be kosher to write tefillin if he was makabel all mitzvahs except for eating nevelos. He said, I could do everything. I could do shluach hakein, I could do tzitzis, I could do mezuzah. I can't give up McDonald's. But the Bir Halacha says that doesn't do it for me. That's not enough. He says that it's very nice he puts on tefillin, but he doesn't have to. The fact that he's makabel, why is that relevant? And if you're going to say, well, women we don't let them because of guf nakivim tidcha mishum the moichel nasham anachas tefillin ukadal el. And avodim ein moichin. And what about says Rabbeinu says the Bir Halacha, and a woman, if she's makabla on herself the mitzvah of tzitzis, could she make tzitzis for men according to Rabbeinu Tam? No way. So again, that's really our question on what the Mishna Berura brought, that there are deos that perhaps a ger toshav could write stam, but it's very hard to based on the way we usually paskin. It would be very hard to imagine that lahalacha that would be. Siv Daled tefillin sheksavan apikaras yisarfu. Tefillin written by an apikaras we have to burn. V'yesh oimrim yiganzu, and some say we have to bury it. So that's what they should be asking by the Ksiva Sefer Torah. You know, do you say Maya Hani Le Rabbanan? Are you an apikaras? Forget about the mikvah. That should be your worst problem. Probably the guy took a shower last night. I mean, you know. So, Siv Katan Yud Beis, apikaras. By the way, once we're on the topic, you know that the whole thing where people come and they write an ois in the Sefer Torah at the end. You know the whole thing is a scam. It's the biggest scam in the history of the world. First, you're not mekayim any inyan b'chlal of being there to fill in a letter. Not your Sefer Torah. It's your Sefer Torah, so you're not mekayim the mitzvah. So what are you doing? You're being mekayim the mitzvah of chesed that the guy should feel good that you took a picture at his Sefer Torah. But there's no kiyum, not of a dairaisa, not a rabbana, not a minog, not on davar toiv. Maybe if you took the kids out of your house, you helped out your wife. But that you have nothing to do with Sefer Torah. Okay. Or it could be that now that you can't be an apikaras, so then you did tshuva before you wrote that letter. So that's also a positive thing. Fine. So an apikaras who writes the Sefer Torah, you burn it, or some say you bury it. Api koiras, I am bibir halacha. Let's see the bir halacha. Sheksavim apikaras. What's an apikaras? Hu ha'aduk lavas kachavim. Kenisa b'veis Yosef b'shem Rashi b'kesem Mishna Berura Hochatzon Parak Aleph Halachi Yad Gimel la'afukim mimah shehuga be'izad fus Rashi Gittin mem heyam ad beis apikaras Yehudi she'enoi mamin l'divrei Rabbi Seinu shezeh enoi mi'perish Rashi ki yadua. Interesting. The din of apikaras that writes the Sefer Torah is not like what we just said before. Normally, apikaras is someone who doesn't believe in Chazal. That's not what apikaras means regarding writing Sefer Torah. Apikaras means someone who clings to Avodah Zarah. He clings to Avodah Zarah. Shezeh enoi. I says bir halacha agam shalen yonim achirim gam zehu bechlal apikaras avaloi leinyan zedi yisaref. Not regarding the din that you burn a Sefer Torah. We're not saying that l'chadchila you could have a guy who's not mamin b'chazal write the Sefer Torah, but to burn the Sefer Torah, the apikaris is a very specific terminology over here, namely that he's aduk to avodah zarah. Ule'inyan dina soifer kazen nirali pashad tzarich lignois parshiyosav. What about if Lamaisa, this is a soifer, he's not aduk to avodah zarah, but he's also not mamin b'divrei chazal? What do you do with such a stam? That's probably a very relevant question. Says Re'alacha, nearly pasha to tzarich lignois parshiyosav. Why? Number one, shemaloi ibad haklaf lishma. Maybe he didn't tan lishma. Number two, v'shemaloi kasav ha-parshiyos v'azkaris lishma. Maybe he didn't write the parshiyos and the names of Hashem lishma. V'shemaloi avazar b'din chak tuchais. Kima de'eino ma'amin b'divrei chazal. And v'gam choshid hu lahach shel achirim. Miwe yisrami shamdu achir mal gaboy v'ro shenasa kol kalacha k'goin shehuloi kasav ala iza oisios bar-parshiyos elu b'fneihem oy b'hayiriyos shel Sefer Torah afiloch yesh la'ayim ish kazeu b'chlal bar kishira. Meaning, what would be the halacha if you had an apikaris, the more traditional view of apikaris? Somebody who's not ma'am b'divrei chazal. Again, if he did it on his own, you got to bury it. But somebody was standing over him, basically making sure he did things correctly. Do we say he's einoi b'chlal kshira? The Bir Halacha is inclined to say you could be lenient. Ulachar yesh aviraya lahatir. Dehaloi le'inyan zvicha gam kein midrash mishu b'chlal bar zvicha echo mizivchai v'loi mi she'ena bar zvicha. And nevertheless, we paskin in Yoredeya tzeduki by tusi. If we check their knife and acher ma'im dam hagaban, it's a good kshir. It's a good shchita. But the Bir Halacha concludes al kein yoser tov sheyimchakim yichtav acherim tachteim. But if you can't, tzarich yin lemaisa. Okay, let us proceed in the Mishna Berura. Yisarfu. You have to burn it im azkarei seim with their mentions. Ukil kaman b'simishin lamadal tziv chaf aleph ayin sham destamai kisha koisev, because probably when he writes l'shem avodas gilulim hu koisev, he writes for avodah zarah. V'yesham yom yuganzu. Some say you bury it. Why? Dein derech apikaras l'haniach tefillin. He's not writing it for himself or for his people to put on tefillin. Ubevadek savay lumkar liYisrael. He definitely wrote it to sell to a Jew. Ve'efshar shaloi kesavay l'shem avodas gilulim. And it's possible, meaning we don't know for sure, maybe he did write it for avodah zarah, but it's possible that he didn't write it l'shem avodah zarah. V'das ha'mechaber lifsoi kedei rishayna. Now, how do we paskin? So this is an important principle in learning the mechaber. The mechaber says tefillin that were written by now because you burn it, and some say you bury it, which means the mechaber is so same like the first daya that you burn it. He says, the Mishna Berura says, V'das ha'mechaber lifsoi kedei rishon l'chein ksavei b'stama v'chein das ha'tazar prisha v'hagra b'biyurei. So if you had a pair of tefillin and you know it was written by an oived avodah zarah, then you burn it. We'll do one more sif, and then we won't do the double header today. Sif hey. Nimtzu biyad apikaris ve'en yadom miksavan yiganzu. If tefillin was found in the hands of the apikaris, and you don't know who wrote it, you bury it. Why? Because if the Apikaris wrote it, then again, the Mechaber just paskin that you burn it. But he might have gotten it from a valid Sefer. Yiganzu misafik shemahuk savan. Maybe he wrote it. Aval ein lisref misafik tehaloik siv loy sa'asun kein lashem aleikechem. You cannot mistreat the stam if it was written by a proper Sefer. So since you're unsure as to the source of the stam, so therefore you bury it, but misafik you don't burn it. Okay, we'll hold it over here. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a double header. Okay.
I can ask, why can't the moms write the Sefer Torah? Why is that?
I don't know. Good question.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.